A federal judge has ordered that President Trump promptly pay Jean Carroll the $5 million jury award she won against him, closing off one of his last attempts to delay the payment. Judge Lewis A. Kaplan of Manhattan Federal Court issued the order on Wednesday, just days after the Supreme Court rejected Trump's appeal of the case on June 29. In a two-page ruling, Kaplan cited that Supreme Court denial is clearing the way for the funds, which Trump had already deposited with the court, to be released to Carroll. A Manhattan jury had awarded Carroll the judgment back in May of 2023, finding Trump liable for sexually assaulting her in a Manhattan department store in the 1990s. The jury also found that he defamed her by publicly calling her allegations a, quote, hoax and a lie. Trump has continued to deny assaulting Carroll. Now, the Supreme Court didn't explain why it rejected Trump's appeal. That's typical when the court declines to take up a case, and no dissents were publicly noted. But under the court's own rules, parties have 25 days after a denial to request a rehearing. And that's exactly what Trump's lawyers did, filing a request earlier on Wednesday, the same day as Kaplan's order, again asking the justices to hear the case, and suggesting they pair it with a separate, related appeal involving Carroll. Legal experts say it's rare, though not unheard of, for the Supreme Court to grant that kind of request. But many see this move as something else entirely. Stephen Vladek, a law professor at Georgetown, said, quote, some of this appears to be a transparent play for time. Carroll's team apparently agreed. Right after the Supreme Court's rejection last week, she asked Judge Kaplan to order Trump to pay up, arguing that he had, quote, consistently sought to obstruct and delay payment of the award. Kaplan sided with her. In a 6-page opinion released Wednesday evening, he wrote, quote, in the last analysis, defendant has been stalling this case for years. He pointed to the jury's verdict, the fact that it had already been upheld on appeal, and the Supreme Court's decision not to review it, concluding it was time for Trump to, quote, pay the judgment. As for what happens next with that rehearing request, the timeline is uncertain. The Supreme Court just wrapped up its term and is now in summer recess. The justices will keep handling emergency applications, but they aren't scheduled to convene to consider other cases again until September. That's it for this story. Thanks for listening.